Campaign for Liberty is represented here. Senator Roach, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
You bet. I appreciate it.
I'm going to ask you some questions about Tax Tea Day, and so here we go. It feels good to stand together physically with other citizens and protest the current taxation. But what should citizen activists really do to lessen their taxation burden?
Well, if you ask me, I've got one message: run for office. We need to have people running for office at all levels, whether that's in the town hall or for fire commissioner or for school board, and work up a resume so that you can get here to Olympia to help make these decisions. Part of being a good candidate means you've had some experience in public service. You don't always have to have served in another elected position. It helps. But I think that whatever you're doing now, decide for yourself. You talk with your families to see, is this something I should be doing? Can I go that next step? And I think that's what we need, are good candidates who can go in there and, quite frankly, take out the people that are voting to increase our taxes.
Excellent. The original Boston Tea Party was over a smaller imposition of taxes than Americans experience today. What do you believe the Founding Fathers would say about our current form of government?
I think that they would be quite shocked. There's no doubt about that, because the foundations that they set for us have been expanded in a way that they would never have anticipated. The most important thing we can do is stick to the Constitution in the way it is actually supposed to mean. No liberal interpretations of it, because we're getting what we are next to socialism, and some would say certainly in many areas of government we are experiencing socialism. This is not the path we want to go down. This is not what our Founding Fathers had in mind.
It has been said that as soon as the people realize that they can vote themselves a piece of the redistribution pie, they do so. Do you see a way to break the cycle?
I think it's possible that a recession might help actually have that kind of effect, because we're going to have people less, not so many people eating at the hand of government, which might then spur people to go out of the free enterprise system and earn their wealth by the sweat of their brow, rather than being housed in a bureaucracy that, quite frankly, does not monitor even the output of the work. So I think that the ethic is you receive in benefits equal to that which you put in. You know, it's kind of like the little red hen, I think. You're going to work, then you get something for it. That's what the ideal is, and I'd like to see more people in a position to be doing that. We need to be creative and hardworking, and I think the weaning away from the government trough is something that needs to happen, and hopefully we can make that happen at some point.
Absolutely. Do you believe that the income tax is a moral tax?
No, I don't agree with an income tax. I've always been opposed to it. Interestingly enough, we have the ability under Washington State's Constitution to currently enact an income tax. The state Constitution says, though, it has to be flat rate and limited to 1%. And that isn't enough. They want it graduated, and they don't want it limited to 1%, which is, I believe, why it hasn't been instituted. The income tax is something that limits the ability of people to grow wealth, and anyone who has wealth needs to put it to work or they lose it. They know that over a period of time with inflation and other things. So really, I think that the less we have for taxes, the better off we're going to be.
Well, Senator Pam Roach, thank you so much for interviewing with us. What do you think about what's happening out there?
I think it's marvelous. We had a great showing today. The largest assemblage of people, citizens across the state of Washington I've ever seen in the Capitol. And this is my 19th year. And I might add, there was a lot of outcry to get rid of the politicians. But remember, there are some of us here that have stood the ground, in my case for 19 years, and I'm not voting for tax increases, and I'm here fighting those. The problem is we're not in the majority. That's why I need people running for office. We need support here, and I need replacement here. We've got to be able to build our numbers. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to turn the ship around.
Some of our members are sticking around tonight for what's happening tomorrow. Could you tell us a little bit about, even though it has nothing to do with the Tea Party, what you're doing tomorrow?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm having a hearing at noon in Olympia, in the Sherberg building, and it has to do with Child Protective Services, an agency that on one hand doesn't do enough to help children. We see them lost due to beatings and fires and terrible murders and things on one hand, and on the other hand, CPS is using its unrestrained power to take children, usually about 3 years old, from intact families and put them into foster care for adoption. Just because a mother has problems, and some of them do, doesn't mean that there aren't relatives that are perfectly capable, willing, and actually wonderful people that shouldn't be taking their nieces, their nephews, their grandsons, or granddaughters. So tomorrow's hearing will be talking about that, talking about abuses within that system, and finding suggestions on how to help this agency get under control. And that means opening this agency up to public scrutiny.
Well, bless your heart for doing what you're doing, and may God bless your efforts. And thank you so much for being with us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Great job. Thank you for asking. And thank you.